So, it's the latest royal rift to make headlines, with reports that King Charles and Prince Andrew are locked in a sort of standoff. Andrew's apparently refusing to leave his royal residence, there it is there, in Windsor. I'm joined now by the Times royal editor, Kate Mansey. Now, Kate, you broke this story, you wrote a brilliant article about it. The row is all about, you know, when they talk about royal residences and then when they say a cottage and you think of a wee tiny place. This is huge. This is an estate, isn't it?
Well, this is called Royal Lodge, which sounds quite petite, doesn't it? But it's a 30-room mansion.
Wow.
Within sort of 40 hectares. It's a huge thing. There's a swimming pool in the grounds. There's cottages for all the gardeners. There's police security kind of accommodation. So this is not a kind of... This isn't a small house.
You can see why he doesn't want to leave.
You can see why he doesn't want to leave, but the king, meanwhile, is saying that it's time to downsize. He's telling his younger brother it's time to move out to something more appropriate.
Exactly.
He's no longer an official working member of the royal family. He is still obviously part of the family. He's still his brother. But he doesn't think it's appropriate that he should be funded to that level anymore. Because
it's millions. We are talking an awful lot of money just to keep him going, just to allow him to live in that place, isn't it?
That's right. So this isn't state money. It's not we're not paying for it, you and I. But the king is paying in excess of £4 million a year to fund Andrew to live there. And someone told me it was well in excess of that. So £3 million of that is for security. So he's got round-the-clock what's called static security in the police accommodation there that Charles is paying for. And then he's got mobile security when he goes out and about.
Right.
And then, of course, you know, sort of keeping that place going is huge.
Oh, because it's massive and, you know, a lot of maintenance is needed. But look, even a man with hundreds and hundreds of teddy bears, as he has, he doesn't need all that space. I mean, it's not like he's official royal, as you said. He's not entertaining there, I would imagine. You know, it's not... He doesn't need for that to be living in such a big place.
Yeah, well, it was described to me that he's a prisoner of his own pride, which I thought was an interesting way of putting it. Because,
really clever.
OK, he's stepped out from royal duties. You know, we all know the story, don't we, about his ill-advised, to put it mildly, friendship with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, the financier. We've seen the Netflix and the Amazon shows all about it, so it's all been brought back up to sort of public consciousness again.
It's
never going to go away. And he's never going to come back into an official royal role. Charles has made that completely clear. I was told that they'd had quite a tearful exchange, or Andrew was tearful, when the news was broken to him before the Queen died by Charles. Look, you're not coming back.
You're out, You're
not coming back. So that's the kind of standoff. So Charles is saying, unless you move out, you know, I may be forced to reduce that money that I give to you. And then the money, it always comes back to the money,
always
doesn't
comes back to cash, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But look, he's not going to be homeless out in the streets. He's not with his teddy bears. He's been offered Frogmore, I believe, which is ready. You know, that was obviously where Harry and Meghan were, and they did it all up, and it'll be gorgeous.
They did Frogmore Cottage, and again, cottage sounds quite quaint to you and I, but it's not. It's lovely, and even in the Netflix programme that Harry and Meghan did, we got a nice shot into their kitchen, you know, the kind of pendant lights. It's all been very tastefully done up. They lived there for about 5 minutes, I think it was, until they decided to move to America. But Andrew's saying, look, I'm going to stay put. I've got a lease. And this is the rub, you see, that he's got this kind of...
So legally, he might be all right to stay there.
Well, legally, he might think he is, because the lease does... I've seen the lease, and it doesn't expire until June 15, 2078. So he's got over 50 years left.
Right.
But terms and conditions of any lease, he's pledged that he has to keep the maintenance up on this property. And then the question again, how can he afford that? Because it's not clear what discernible income he's got. I mean,
he'll have a pension for the Navy or something, but that's not going to get you very far, is it?
Well, it's not going to get you living, you know, in kind of opulence with a kind of armies of gardeners and housekeepers and people to arrange your teddy bears, is it?
No, it really isn't. It's so interesting, the two of them, that relationship between the two of them, because, you know, everybody always bangs on about the fact Andrew is the Queen's favourite. I mean, that must be horrible for Charles' favourite son, I think, for Charles and for Edward as well, but Charles especially. I mean, did they get on? Are they... Because
Well, there's 11-year age gap, isn't there? And I think this is quite interesting, something I explore in my podcast, The Royals. That we've got Harry and William are the ones we always talk about, the brothers falling out. But here we have the heir and the spare again, because, of course, Anne, before the time, you know, it was male primogenitor, so she wasn't in the running. Andrew was the spare. And by that stage, I think the late Queen was more kind of indulgent towards her son. She had a bit more time. She'd established herself in her reign.
Yes.
And then could lavish a bit more attention on Andrew. He was allowed more freedom as the spare, as we always see. He went to serve in the Falklands as a Royal Navy helicopter pilot. And I remember Charles, saying once years ago, well, Andrew was the one with the Robert Redford good looks in the family. So there's definitely a frisson there. And
not anymore, we would have to say.
There has always been that tension, I think, that people don't appreciate.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Yeah. Absolutely. Brilliant article, and I love your podcast. Thanks ever so much for coming in. Great to see you.
Thanks so much.
Come and see you soon.